Hey guys, my name is Dan and this is Stout Gaming. This week in the MDL, I am going up against Hunter. If you're wondering why I don't have my normal video intro, it's because Pokemon Unite came out this week and I made my choice. But with that being said, looking at what he's brought, he's sort of got the Rain mode and the Trick Room mode, which were the two things I was prepping for this week. Primarina seems really good this week, Tornadus seems good this week, Purloin seems good this week. Basically everything I brought seems good except Coffagrigus, but Coffagrigus is necessary because it's the hard counter to his Snorlax sets, and it can also deal with Metagross if he sets Trick Room for that as well. But game one, Primarina Torn seems good. I'll have Coffagrigus in the back in case he goes for the hard Trick Room setup. Then I can switch it in. And then Garchomp seems like a decent cleaner in this matchup. Generally speaking, I think I am going to be favored in this matchup. The way our teams match up on paper should favor me substantially. Don't get me wrong, Hunter has a very good team, but he struggles with a lot of what I can bring. Like, Metagross doesn't have a great matchup with Garchomp. I mean, it's not awful, but it's not great. Primarina is my favorite way to stop Rain, and back in Series 5, I believe, it was... I just felt like I couldn't lose to Rain on my Primarina teams. Tornadus lets me match speed with anything that he wants to do. It's just rough for him on paper compared to a lot of his other matchups, even with teams that might be better than mine. This is just a rough matchup on paper, which happens from time to time. So, nothing against Hunter or his team. I just think I should be favored in this match based on that. So turn one, I'm just going to Starfall the Kingdra and set Tailwind. What I sort of expect to happen is a Fake Out and Max Hailstorm into the Tornadus to prevent Tailwind from going up, which I'm fine with, because even if I'm slower than it, if I have a lot of damage on a Max Kingdra, I'm going to feel in a pretty advantageous position, and I'll have the opportunity to set Trick Room the next turn instead of Tailwind. So Primarina is going to go ahead and max, but it looks like the Kingdra's not maxing, because if it was, it would be faster than this Primarina based on the speeds that I calced this week. So I don't think Fake Out plus Ice Beam KOs the Tornadus. Protecting there, that's a weird call to me. Like, if he wants to prevent Tailwind from going up, he has to attack, like double into the Torn slot, but without doubling in, like even through Protect, that's going to do a decent chunk of damage. And now I'm going to threaten Okos on the entire team because I can basically set up my Sludge Wave weakness policy proc for free. Unless he gets a freeze here, which is the worst mechanic in the game. But he does not. So now I've got decisions. I have a feeling something switches into Metagross to eat a Starfall, because even at +2, Starfall doesn't KO and non-max Metagross, and I sort of want the Rain setup, even though he's got the Rain team, because Rain boosted Max Geyser, Oko's non-Assault Vest Max Metagross when the Geyser's off of Hydro Cannon. That also means that Rain boosted Hydro Cannon at +2 Oko's Max Metagross, which, spoiler alert, it does come into play later. But, as it is, he switches out the Kingdra for the Metagross. So, I was... And he does go for a double switch. I was kind of hoping to be able to chip down the Metagross slot, because if this Metagross is his only Dynamax threat, I'm feeling pretty good about my positioning. And I get my weakness policy proc. I've got a pretty physically bulky Primarina too. I'm not max invested into special attack this week, just so I can live more hits, and I'm going to rely on the weakness policy for damage. That Politoed goes away. And he set the Rain for me. I didn't have to risk a Rain attack into anywhere and set it up myself. Probably Geyser into that slot would have been technically better, even though I don't know if that would have KO'd the Politoed, so this worked out well for me. I don't know if it would have been technically better. Now that Kingdra's fast, but Tornadus is still faster. The Metagross is a little nerve-wracking, but it's going to max, and if I am faster than it, I will KO it with this Max Geyser. The Tornadus, I can just get some free attacks on this Kingdra, I guess. I don't know exactly what its plan is right now. So here comes the Max Metagross. If he doesn't protect it, and it's not AV, it will go down this turn. If it is AV, it'll still take a chunk, and then Garchomp will be able to clean it up pretty easily. So I feel like I'm in a decently good position here. It does Max Guard, though. And I go get my Air Slash off on the Kingdra. And I think that flinch actually mattered for differential, not necessarily for the set, but he was going for Icy Wind, and according to his speed calcs, I haven't run them, so I'm just taking him at his word for this because it seems right. That Icy Wind, even if I was under Tailwind still, the Primarina would become slower than the Metagross, which without being maxed, that Metagross can KO this Primarina, even with the additional bulk. So that's a potential issue, but this Raw Hydro Cannon will OHKO this Metagross, unless it is AV, and since it protected, it's not AV. Kingdra protects, I'm fine with that, and Air Slash does nothing into the protect, and Hydro Cannon comes out. Goodbye, Metagross. That crit did not matter. If he was AV, it would have mattered, but he protected, so I know that it didn't matter now at this point. Now my Tailwind is gone. I've got to decide if I want to set it up next turn, or how I want to handle that. Looking at the board state here, his win con is tricky, but it's probably Fake Out Tornadus, find something that kills the Primarina. Or no, it's Fake Out Primarina, kill the Tornadus after it sets Tailwind, and then hope that the two of them combined can take out everything else. But if I get the Tailwind up for free next turn, it's probably safe. But yes. Oh no, he doesn't Fake Out the Primarina because I have to recharge anyway. Right, that's why I made this play. But it doesn't really matter because he does Fake Out the Primarina, it has to recharge, and Kingdra kills itself, which is unfortunate for Primarina's kills, but Primarina has to recharge, and I'm pretty safe here. Dazzling Gleam should just pick up the KO, even if it doesn't. Will-O-Wisp on Scrafty's going to stop it from doing anything in the long term to Garchomp in the back, and it'll be a win for me. Alright, so game 1 is a pretty clean 4-0 for me, but let's stick around and I'll be right back for game 2. So, moving into game 2, I'm presented with a bit of a conundrum in the everything seems good category. His rain mode didn't work for him, so I very much expect Trick Room, or at least Pseudo Trick Room, and that gives me a lot of pause. Because Scrafty plus Dusknoir can basically guarantee a Trick Room getting up, no matter what I lead. Tornadus, with the potential for Taunt next to Primarina to threaten a lot of damage, could work. Purloin Trick Eject button could work if Scrafty doesn't go for a Fake Out. Cofagrigus in the back is great against Trick Room mode. Like, as you can see, I'm very split on a lot of things. Like, I very, very strongly consider Primarina Purloin lead here, but Fake Out Scrafty kind of blanks that. So I'm going to go with the same 4 I did last game, but basically everything but Arcanine was a consideration here, and Arcanine probably should have been a consideration here as well. So there are a lot of options because I'm pretty sure he's going for Trick Room, and I want to set myself up for a decent late game against the Trick Room, because the first few turns he will get Trick Room up, and he will be able to beat me with the speed on it. So, the Primarina here, it doesn't pick up the KO on Dusknoir. Like, there's no way for me to do it, even with a max Hydro Cannon to the Dusknoir. He should survive that. So I'm just going to try to get the Cheeky Taunt and get some spread damage out. If he doesn't fake out the Torn, which he does, which is correct, then the Gleam comes out. I figured I'll just put a number on that Scrafty. I am very surprised that Scrafty survived that. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I don't know if that's AV Scrafty or something, but that's shocking to me. But now he's got Scrafty and Dusknoir out under Trick Room, and that doesn't scare me a lot. Like, I can just put in Cofagrigus and feel okay with it and get some more spread damage out, because neither of these two are really doing a lot to Primarina at this point in time. And this Cofagrigus with Room Service is going to be able to help me control the flow of the game to prevent any of his major setup options from setting up. Nightshade is annoying, because that's the most damage basically anything's going to do into that slot. Yeah, I hate Freeze. It's the worst mechanic in the game. But maybe I'll unfreeze next turn? Who knows? So I pick up the KO on the Scrafty, and the Cofagrigus is sitting there frozen like a ninny. I do appreciate how the animations themselves are frozen. Like, that's a nice attention to detail kind of thing, but freeze is the worst mechanic in this game. So if I can unfreeze and get a Will-O-Wisp off on this Metagross, I should just win. If I cannot do that, then we're gonna have some issues. Plus, there's the chance that this Metagross is underspeeding Primarina if he went for like a min-speed Trick Room build, I believe. Actually, no, this Metagross should never be underspeeding Primarina here. Never mind, that's a lie, because of the calc you told me about with the Icy Wind. But I don't know that. I think there's a chance the Metagross could underspeed Primarina here. So, Will-O-Wisp would be really nice. I want Primarina to survive one attack, which it will, if I max it, and it will let me set up Rain. And I'm just going to assume that it's a Shadow Sneak Weakness Policy proc. After setting up Rain, I've got a decent chance to pick up a 2-hit KO. Metagross is going to max, then he's going to come out with a Weakness Policy proc, and I could have some trouble with Metagross this game if I do not get the unfreeze. If I do get the unfreeze, this game is super simple. Easy game. I do not. But he didn't go for Shadow Sneak. He went for Bulldoze under Trick Room, which means Primarina is now definitely slower than Metagross. I'm okay with this, because now I'll get 2 geysers off, theoretically, and that should pick up a KO. Like, after the Rain is set, this next one should pick up the KO. But he does go for Max Quake, so now I'm not sure if this next one picks up the KO. I think there's a chance for it, and I'm still going to go for it, but I'm in an iffy position at this point because of the freeze on the Coffagrigus. I'm trying to figure out what the best way for me to play this game moving forward is. And I think Garchomp coming out late game, if I can stall this max, if the Metagross survives, and I can stall Trick Room, seems ideal. Geyser into Dusknoir or Metagross both make sense, but I want to try to pick up the KO on the Metagross. Very iffy KO there. And then Air Slash into Dusknoir makes sense. Taunt into Dusknoir makes sense. There's a lot of things that could make sense. Taunt might be better to try and get the priority. I don't know if it has a good support set. I've only seen semi-offensive moves, but in retrospect, Taunt was probably correct, as Nightshade seems to be his best offensive move. So I'm hoping for the KO into this Metagross. If I get it, it's pretty clean, but I just miss it. But he goes for a Hailstorm instead of picking up the KO on the Primarina, which means it's good things for me, because now that Hail is out, it's going to kill his own Metagross over time. Under Trick Room, the Metagross is going to be threatened by Primarina, and outside of Trick Room, it's going to be threatened for the KO by Garchomp. So Metagross has to protect, and then the other one targets into Dusknoir. So I do decide to protect the Garchomp here, just in case of any shenanigans from the Dusknoir, like a Will-O-Wisp, and I can stall out Trick Room. Maybe not my best idea, but it does seem pretty safe at this point in time, not knowing what he has in the back. But this basically guarantees a bad day for this Metagross. So I'm running game theories at this point in time, because if he max guards, I don't do any damage this turn, and Trick Room ends. But I don't know if there's a decent way to deny Trick Room next turn, and I do see there's Pain Split on the Dusknoir, which is a very decent move for it. And now Hail damage is coming out. Setting Max Geyser into the Dusknoir probably would have guaranteed me the game, but it would have been very risky. Because a +2 Metagross, even through Yachi Berry, probably KOs the Garchomp. And I do see that it has Max Hailstorm. So here I'm trying to figure out, I think Rock Slide KOs both, but if it misses Metagross, I'm in a really bad position. There's a chance that Hyper Voice picks up the KO on Dusknoir by itself if I just take out the Metagross, and that's sort of what I want to go for. So Rock Slide, if I was guaranteed a hit on the Metagross, was the correct play, but this was the safe play to put me in position to potentially get this KO and to really weaken this Dusknoir for the late game. I do not get the KO, it's very bulky, and he gets Trick Room back up. So yeah, the taunt into Dusknoir earlier would have been very nice. But here, I think, under Trick Room, that Dusknoir is not threatening a lot, so I've just got to kill whatever comes in. And it turns out that it's Snorlax. So now I've got decisions to make, because I know Snorlax can carry Ice Punch, I believe. And it probably has something like Body Slam or something similar that has the potential to KO Primarina in its position. So I think I have to go with Hyper Voice here to try and KO the Dusknoir and chip the Snorlax. And then I've got to figure out how to deal with the Snorlax. Dragon Claw seems like a decent answer. I don't know if... I don't believe that this KOs it if he's got a lot of bulk on it from here. But it doesn't hurt. So Pain Split, he takes me down just outside of range, and Belly Drum is a very interesting decision there. I feel like he needed to maximize his turns of attacking in Trick Room to give himself a chance in this late game, and even though now he gets an Oko on whatever he hits with the Snorlax, it's going to take a lot of chip right here, and I'm not going to KO it from this range, but Hail is a thing that exists. And I really wish that Hail would have picked up the KO. So here, Snorlax kills something, right? So I've got to decide what I want to let it kill and what I want to protect. And I think with another turn of hail damage, protecting the Garchomp is the right play here, because Garchomp is going to be better at 1v1ing this Dusknoir in the late game. Because it's got more HP, and Nightshade is the only thing that can deal it. So Garchomp protects, the attack went into the Garchomp, and I win. In retrospect, that was a much riskier play than I thought, because the hail stops. So he wouldn't have necessarily died if he targeted into the Primarina, and then I would have had an issue. But from here, it's pretty simple. KO the Dusknoir with Garchomp Primarina. He can pick up the KO on the Primarina if he wants, but he Pain Splits again, which, power to him trying to bulk it out. He had the opportunity to pick up the KO on the Preem, but he didn't take it, and Garchomp will pick up the clean kill here. It'll be a nice 2-0 for me. Good games to Hunter. Again, this was a really tough week, just like matchup Pokemon to Pokemon for him. But I'm looking forward to the out-of-conference season starting next week, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.